Okay, honor your father and mother, for this is the first commandment with a promise, like long life. Um, Verbal dishonoring. We got started on this last time. Um, I guess I'm kind of particular, but I feel like a sassy, sarcastic, even just a bunch of verbiage for no reason. Any kind of feedback or talking back that is not critical. Like if you left a detail out when you're telling them to jump and you didn't say how high, in theory they could ask how high, but most of the time that's a stalling technique. Most of the time they don't need any further instructions. They're just mouthing off. So in my mind, if you're going to teach a child to honor you as their parent, then when you have told them, go make your bed, then they need to say yes, ma'am, or yes, sir, or simply spin on their heel and go make their bed.
Right. And I'll re-emphasize how critical training your children to honor you. They won't do that automatically. They'll respect you to some extent because you're bigger, but honor is another step in this, and you need to pay attention to that. And it's for their health and for them to have healthy relationships with other people. If you don't train that in, you can expand that. The honoring is the critical part, but you can expand that to basic politeness. We seem to be letting politeness slip these days, especially when it's electronic communications, Facebook or email or whatever, because you don't have somebody that gives you immediate feedback of, oh, that's rude and I'm going to slap you down for it. So you think you can get away with being rude. Well, you're not getting away with it. It'll cause you problems somewhere down the road. But one of the things to be a healthy thing to do with your kids is train them with basic politeness. Train them to be polite. Don't let them get away with being snippy or rude or mouthy or any of those kind of things.
Or just plain old verbally rowdy, loud, always seeming to think that they need to be heard rather than just seen and not heard, especially if verbal feedback is involved. I think this honoring concept, parents may have like low self-esteem issues, I don't know. But I feel, God help me, but I feel like I deserve to be respected and or honored in the way that a child, mine or somebody else's, approaches me. And that is just politeness. I mean, in a polite society, we would handle things politely. Even if you felt differently, you wouldn't let on. You would act politely. You'd act appropriately. So anyway, when parents allow children to retort, reply, or talk back without any necessity of it, they are promoting sin because they're promoting dishonoring, and they're also promoting the sin of just sinning with words that are inappropriate words. They could be hateful, they could be snarky, they could be sarcastic, they could just be rebellious. When a child says something in response to a command that you've given them about anything, but certainly some things can be very rebellious, and understand that it's out of or from the abundance of the heart that the mouth is speaking. So don't tell me you're training your child when you just let them pop off and mouth off without any restraint or correction at all. And they should soon, I mean, if you've done it right, by the time they're 3 or 4, they should already well know not to just be mouthing off at their parents.
Right. And something to keep in mind here, as a parent, you are God's representative to these children. And so the attitude that you instill in them of how to treat you, you're also instilling in them how to approach God, how to treat God. And you're blessing them by teaching them the concept of respect, how to be respectful, and to have a respectful heart. This is not some ego trip. This is a necessity for their life. This is not a game you're playing. This this is real stuff.
And never turn a child loose on society that has not learned to be respectful and honoring of elders and all those in authority, and how to restrain their tongue, which is something so pertinent now with the way we see a lot of young people and older people dealing with law enforcement personnel. And I, for one, I don't give law enforcement personnel a pass at all. They've got one of the hardest jobs in the world, and it takes a special person to be a good cop. Having said that, that's many times because so many people had no parenting and they're brats. And so they want to mouth off to anybody in authority. They don't want to submit. They just got to have their way. And that's dangerous. That is very dangerous. So, you got to honor your parents, and you got to honor others in authority. And one way that society reads that is verbal feedback. If someone's demanding immediate obedience and you're mouthing off,
Not good.
that is not perceived as submission. That is perceived potentially as a threat.